painting shows how it was 100 years ago when Princeton battled Rutgers in the first college football game. Artist Arnold Freeberg recreated that historic clash in one of 4 paintings commissioned by Chevrolet's sports department to mark college football's centennial year. This one captures Notre Dame's Knute Rockne in the midst of one of his famous locker room speeches. In the mid-30s, it was Dixie Howell passing to Don Hudson for the Crimson Tide of Alabama. And in 1968, the most electrifying player on the collegiate scene just had to be O.J. Simpson of Southern California. In the highest scoring collegiate season ever, the defense still produced many great moments and an outstanding crop of defensive stars. The American Football Coaches Association went to the University of Washington for one of their defensive backs. He's Al Worley, 5'11", 175 pounds. Al isn't very big or very fast. He's just there where the ball is. In 1968, Al intercepted 14 passes, an NCAA record, and tied another by intercepting 4 in one game. Georgia's Jake Scott fills another defensive halfback spot. Scott, number 13, is a devastating tackler. He helped Georgia chalk up an undefeated season. Only a junior, Jake owns the Georgia record for interceptions with 10. Scott is also a punt return specialist and leads the Southeastern Conference in that department. The only problem with Al Brenner of Michigan State was whether to put him on the defensive or the offensive squad. Al played end on offense and safety man on defense. The Coaches Association liked Al's defensive abilities based on plays like this slashing tackle. In the upset win over Notre Dame, Brenner saved the day by knocking Terry Hanratty loose from the ball at the goal line. The Volunteers of Tennessee are cheering for Jimmy Weatherford, another outstanding member of our defensive backfield. And at the University of Missouri, Roger Worley was keeping the offense in check for the Tigers. Roger, number 23, is a fine tackler and the country's leading punt return specialist. The Mid-American Conference provides its first All-America player in Bob Babich from Miami of Ohio. Bob's speed and power at linebacker helped Miami finish the season as the nation's 4th-ranked team in total defense, 3rd in rushing defense. When Bob decides to blitz, he gets there at about the same time as the ball, and that spells disaster for Miami opponents. The United States Military Academy provides the final member of the Coach's All-America Defensive Secondary, Army Captain and linebacker Ken Johnson. At the University of Miami, homecoming means flower-decked floats and palm trees. The winning float is on its way to the Orange Bowl. Meanwhile, Ted Hendricks, our All-America defensive end, tells a couple of fans how he switched from offense to defense.
I started as an offensive and defensive player in high school. And my freshman year here in college, I started as a flanker. And the transition to defense was in my sophomore year.
Ted is nicknamed the Mad Stork. But after seeing this play, you may want to rename him the Octopus. The ball carrier thinks Hendricks has at least 8 hands. At 6'8", 222 pounds, Hendricks just sort of surrounds his prey. Watch this one-handed interception. He would have made a great offensive end.
You know, I always wanted to play offense also. I think offense is a lot harder chore because there you have 11 people chasing you instead of just one chasing the ball carrier.
Hendricks is a mathematics major and has not yet decided if pro football is his future. When he's not getting ready for a big game or working on his studies, he's following his hobby, solving mathematical problems. One of the greatest games of Ted's career was against Notre Dame. The arrow points him out as he chases down the quarterback for a loss. Now he's at the other end and ignoring a blocker to stop Bob Gladjo in his tracks. Again, the arrow points out the mad stork. Ted Hendricks of Miami, a great defensive end. Holding down our other defensive end position is John Zook of Kansas University. And holding the attention of every male spectator at Purdue games is Purdue's famous Golden Girl, Valerie Brown. She's a tradition in the Purdue pageantry and represents the kind of traditions we like to encourage. Purdue also provides an All-America for our defensive squad, Chuck Kyle, middle guard. Chuck, number 60, can generally be found nose-to-nose with the offensive center, poised to fight his way to the heart of the play and break it up. He's right opposite the center, and again his great ability to slide down the line and bottle up the play is demonstrated perfectly. The Golden Bears of California have one of the top linemen in the country in defensive guard Ed White. Ed, number 70, grabs everybody, and he keeps the guy with the ball literally. Very few players have been able to block him out of a play. Another Georgia Bulldog on our defensive roster is Bill Stanfield, a hard-charging tackle who specializes in rushing the quarterback. Watch number 77. When the play is over, one quarterback has completely disappeared. Bill Stanfield is a tough man to face when you've got the ball. Now it's time for the offensive squad of this 79th All-America team. On the offense, you find the glamour guys, the pass catchers, the men who run with the ball or throw it for the big games. But you also find on offense the guys who get the least recognition, interior linemen, the tackles, guards, and centers. They just put their heads down and hit hard enough to make all the big plays possible. The man behind the Kodak Analyst projector is Murray Warmath, head coach at the University of Minnesota and president of the American Football Coaches Association. Coach Warmath is analyzing game movies, the action films upon which the All-America selections are based. These game movies, developed with the aid and technical assistance of the Eastman Kodak Company, have become a vital coaching tool. And Murray Warmath, like coaches everywhere, spends many hours studying action films. Right now, Coach Warmath is reviewing the exploits of one of our two All-America quarterbacks, Terry Hanratty of Notre Dame. Terry exploded into national prominence as a sophomore and has been performing sensational feats ever since. Although a great passer, some opponents also consider him Notre Dame's best ball carrier. What Terry did for the Gipper, the great George Gipp, was break his total offense record, which had stood since 1920. In all, Terry set 14 new Notre Dame passing and rushing records over his 3 seasons. But with a tie in the balloting, Coaches Association elected to give equal recognition to another great quarterback, Bobby Douglas of Kansas. Jayhawk fortunes took a sharp turn for the better when Douglas became quarterback in 1967. In 1968, Kansas tore up the country with a 9-1 record. Bob Douglas stands 6'3" and weighs about 212. That's the kind of size coaches dream about for their quarterbacks. Douglas has speed and power to go with that size, so that the defense always has to play him for the run as well as the pass. Bobby's not shy about running where the going is tough, and that helped boost him into a tie with Terry Hanratty for All-America quarterback honors. Ted Qualick strolls the campus of Penn State University like a mild-mannered giant, hand in hand with his wife, Carolyn. But he's anything but mild-mannered on the field. Even in practice, he gives it everything he's got. And that's one mark of a true All-America. Head coach Joe Paterno thinks he's the greatest.
Get there!
You can't say enough about Ted Kowalik when you talk about him as a football player. And if somebody was going to draw a picture of the ideal football player, they'd probably come up with Ted Kowalik. He's a big boy, 6'4", he weighs 235 pounds, 230 pounds. He's got great speed. He'll run a 4.7 40, which is as fast as most backs will run. He's got this fantastic ability to concentrate on that football and be able to catch a ball in the crowd regardless of how hard he gets hit or how many people are around him. And once he catches it, it takes a lot of people to tackle him. He's got great balance. He's a good open field runner. He can make you miss. He can do an awful lot of things when he gets the football.
Get back there. You're ready to come again?
That's Ted with his back to the camera, working on his blocking. And polishing his pass patterns. This kind of practice drudgery is what built the execution that took Penn State to a great season in 1968.
You can't go up here, start here, start there, start back.
Penn State's Beaver Stadium was the scene for Qualick's Saturday heroics. And he did everything that was asked of him. He carries the ball on an end around. Here's a demonstration of what Joe Paterno calls Ted's fantastic ability to concentrate on the ball. The Orangemen of Syracuse can tell you a little bit about how hard it is to stop Ted Qualick. When Qualick can't get around them, he runs right over them. Despite his size, Ted is surprisingly graceful. Our camera stops him in midair to make Ted Qualick the perfect picture of what an All-America offensive end should be. Florida State's Ron Sellers repeats at an All-America end position, and with good reason. Ron is an artist at running pass patterns. Sellers' ability to get loose earned him the national pass receiving crown with 86 catches. Great speed, great quickness, great hands, great desire. That just about sums up the greatness of Ron Sellers. At flanker is Jim Seymour, one half of the greatest pass-catch combination in Notre Dame history. With Hanratty doing the throwing and Seymour the catching, Notre Dame had another outstanding season in 1968. Seymour now holds most of Notre Dame's pass receiving records. Hanratty to Seymour, two great All-Americans from Notre Dame. Tackle Dave Foley was one of the chief bulldozers as Ohio State rolled over everybody en route to the Rose Bowl. Foley was named to receive a Scholar Athlete Award from the Football Hall of Fame Foundation. He's an honor student in the College of Engineering. On the field, when you had to have a couple of yards, you went in behind number 70, Dave Foley, who shared All-America tackle honors with Notre Dame's George Coons, another Scholar athlete. Also on the offensive line is guard Mike Montler of Colorado. For the 1968 season, he built his weight up to 260 pounds. A few of his opponents may have thought they were being blocked by the Colorado mascot instead of a mere man. Watch Mike, number 79, drive everything out of the way. Down close, you can almost feel the shock when Mike's 260 pounds slam into action. If you're a quarterback, Mike Montler is a good man to have in front of you. Rounding out the coach's All-America offensive line are Tennessee's guard Chuck Rosenfelder and center John Didion of Oregon State. The Purdue Boilermakers have a lot of things going for them. The world's largest drum, the Golden Girl. But the greatest thing they've had for the last 3 years is a football jack of all trades named Leroy Keys. Leroy runs with the ball in an exciting loose-legged style. He catches passes. And he throws them. Leroy also likes to play golf on the course at Purdue and philosophize about football.
Well, I was reaching for the street. Not too bad.
He explains how it is when you run with the ball.
Sometimes you can just read the blockers. If the blockers are doing the job up front, this makes the back job more easier. We just follow their blocks and hope we can run hard enough to evade a couple of people.
Leroy's balance, ability to change speeds and directions, and keep going long after others would have been knocked off their feet make him a dangerous man with a football. He believes these abilities are rooted in his boyhood.
In the neighborhood that I was born in, we just grew up with it in the street, living about, say, from here to the first tee from my high school. We had access to the football field and everything else, and in my community, this was it was a sin not to play football, some type of sport. And if we couldn't find the field, we were sometime on the streets playing. And when you're in the streets playing on gravel, you try to avoid all the bruises you can. Playing with the older kids in my community, I really picked up some pretty good football habits, basketball, track. I believe that it's just natural instinct. I mean, it's something you're born with. I mean, sometimes you learn moves from other players or just watching other guys play football, but I've always tried to judge my own talent, what I could do first. And then if I saw Gale Sayers or Lenny Moore, some of the great backs run the ball, I'd try to pick up a move. Maybe this will help me in a certain situation. But I think it's all instinct and the way you take advantage of it and how you use it.
Over his sensational 3-year career at Purdue, Leroy Keys has done everything. He has been consistently among the top nationally in rushing and scoring. He was among the best of Purdue's pass receivers and was a dangerous passer himself on the halfback pass-run option. When Purdue was faced with a receiver like Seymour of Notre Dame, Keys played both ways because he was the Boilermakers' best defender against the pass.
The more I try, the more people respect you. You learn self-respect from the game. You learn how to meet more people and learn how to judge your basic reactions from day to day. And I think football, by being such a universal sport, it brings people closer together. I think it's a great means of bringing the world unity more closer together. And I think, as far as I'm concerned, this has really taught me how to respect other people. And I have a lot to be thankful for football, and I really enjoy the game.
And college football has enjoyed Leroy Keys, All-America halfback. Another of our backs is Chris Gilbert of Texas. Chris, number 25, is a compact 5'11", 175 pounds, and is the greatest running back in Southwest Conference history. This season, he surpassed the likes of former Southwest Conference All-Americas Jim Swink, Doak Walker, and Kyle Rote in the rushing department. Chris Gilbert wound up his career with his third 1,000-yard season in a row. Also in the Southwest, SMU's Jerry Levias earned a spot in the All-America backfield, while the Houston Cougar was snarling with joy over the feats of Paul Gibson. Gibson was the prime mover on the team that took the total offense crown of the NCAA. It's easy to see why he's so great. Gibson is big and powerful, but he really knows how to pick a path through the opposition. Credit some fine blocking on this play, but watch Mr. Gibson maneuver once he gets into the open. Paul Gibson of Houston is a good man to have at fullback on our All-America team. At the University of Southern California, they have a living legend, and at homecoming, that's all they want to talk about. The name of the legend is O.J. Simpson.
Well, O.J. has qualities that other people do not have in that he has a combination of great size to go with his great speed. Probably nowhere else in football will you find a guy who is 6'2", 205 that can run the 109.4. So this combination of size and speed, tremendous durability, and the ability to be an instinctive runner, not necessarily thinking I'm going to make this cut or make that cut, but doing it seems to make him a great runner.
Oh, I think he's exciting to watch. I think anybody in the stands would think he was exciting to watch. I probably am a little biased, and so it's hard to look at him in a way that maybe just somebody coming into the stands would, but I think it's really a thrill to see that outside sweep and then to have him really go on a long run. There isn't anybody that can't get a real thrill out of that.
He's quick, he's tough, and he has a desire. Games when there's lots of pressure on, he's the one that always makes the play that makes the difference in the outcome of the game.
As is proper for all legends, this one is immortalized in song.
Run right through them, don't get to them, okay, O.J.
And while the old grads salute him in song, O.J. for Orenthal James heads for the West Coast's Temple of Football, the Los Angeles Coliseum, to do his thing.
Run right through them, don't get to them, okay, O.J. all of them.
O.J. was asked to explain his theory of running with a football.
Well, you're always looking for that daylight. I guess it's like Vince Lombardi said, run the daylight, you know. But really, I think it's best when you're not thinking about anything. You're just running on instinct, and I guess the only thought in your mind is daylight, you know, get those yards. And generally, you know, you're looking for key blocks. You know who should be where, and you're looking for that. When you see them, a lot of times if you've studied the film and know the team you're playing, you should know what's coming up and know who will be the next guy you must confront.
In spite of his scientific explanations, O.J.'s joyous style of running leads many to believe it is a natural gift and exactly what nature intended him to do, run with that football. Simpson always seems at his best in the second half.
In the beginning of the game, sometimes you're a little nervous and you're trying to outthink the opponent. And against us, a lot of teams do a lot of stunning, and it takes us a while to pick it up, you know, to know exactly what they're doing. So about the time the second half come around, we've been in the locker room in the halftime, and we put on the board what stunts they're running. You get the feel of the game. You get hit a few times, and you stop trying to outthink the opponent. You just run on instinct, and I feel that's the only reason I can think of was that we move the ball a little better in the second half than we do in the first.
Since he runs with a football better than anyone else around, and he can earn a fortune doing it, you might think that would be the end of his ambitions. But O.J. looks further ahead.
I hope to play a little bit of pro ball, and I'm majoring in public administration along with sociology. I want to go into some kind of juvenile work. Just what, I don't know, because I haven't really seen a program that I really like, you know. But I hope to go back up in the San Francisco area where I was raised and do a little juvenile work up there. When I came out of high school, I wasn't the best student in high school. I didn't really realize what I want to do with my life. And I came out of high school. Fortunate for me, I played football, and there was a lot of people around that was, you know, ready and willing to give me a hand. And through that, I kind of woke up, you know, and started getting grades and doing what I had to do. But you figure there are guys that come out of high school that doesn't have any athletic ability, and who's going to help them?
O.J. Simpson, who rushed for more yards in one season than anyone before him, 1,709. Let's watch him do his thing.
And now, speaking for the American Football Coaches Association, let me say thanks to all of you fans for your loyal support of college football.